Remember to click like and subscribe and the notification bell for the rest of the story. Pants on fire, liar liar. The last several days have been odd. We rarely talk, a decision on both of our parts, and when we do, it's usually about mediation, future plans, or the kids. We've been respectful and effective in communicating about those issues. We are also pleasant in front of the children so that they are not upset. The situation is unusual because we are getting along, there is no squabbling, and we are all working together to get through mediation and divorce. That is all right with me. I heard him on the phone in the basement last night while I was cleaning the kitchen. I imagine he didn't realize one of the kids had left the door open. I went to close the door since I didn't want to be a part of the drama any longer. At that point, I overheard him telling her how crazy I was acting. Please excuse me. We don't talk much, and when we do, it's always in a polite manner. That's insane, right? So he told her about a chat we had, and he lied about everything. While the dialogue part was real, he told her I burst, was enraged, was crying, and so on. None of this was correct. He described how he laughed in my face at my wrath, which was equally false because there was no rage. I had told him before the Nye disaster that I would ultimately start dating, and he proceeded to tell her that I was bragging about males I was meeting. That couldn't be further from the truth. I shut the basement door. I'm sure he heard what I said. So I question, why do I have to lie and make myself a villain? We're not staying together, and I have no reason to argue with you anymore, which is why we've hired a mediator. Why should you start lying to your new girlfriend? What makes you think that's a decent approach to start a relationship? I'm not sure what's going on here. This is my main concern. This woman and him are in love and want to start a family. That's good. God bless you and congratulations. But this woman only knows me through the stories he's told her about me, which I'm assuming are all lies. If he does move across the nation to live with her, how can I trust a woman who despises me due to misinformation to adequately care for my children? I don't care if she despises me, I'll still sleep well at night, but I'm anxious about sending my kids to stay with them over the summer. I wish I could confront him about it, but I know I can't. Perhaps it's not that I can't, but that I don't know how. Also, he has not notified anyone that we are separated and has certainly not explained why. Why is this so? You started it, you cheated, you're pleased now, why can't you tell everyone? He explained to his father that he was taking the kids to see him alone because he and I weren't seeing eye to eye at the moment. What? I'm guessing he's either terrified of the music or seeking solace in the tiny love bubble he's made. He chooses to avoid confronting reality. He has yet to hunt for an apartment for after the divorce is finalized, but he has scheduled another date with her for Valentine's Day. It's so aggravating that he refuses to confront reality. Mediation and hollow promises. Our second mediation appointment was yesterday. While it was friendly, there was clearly some tension. The anxiety was on his end, not mine. Allow me to explain. During our first mediation, we discussed the possibility of him moving out of state. I inquired at yesterday's meeting what we would do about custody if he moved to this state. The mediator became perplexed when I stated the state by name. This prompted her to inquire as to why this state was so far away. His response? Well, then there was stillness. He couldn't express how he felt about leaving to be with his girlfriend. I had to finally speak up after discovering that we were paying by the hour and that he was leaving to be with his girlfriend. Later, I understood that was the first time he had semi-confessed to anyone about having an affair and a girlfriend. Why can't you just tell this person how much you adore them? That entire thing perplexes me. Anyway, I'll be alright in terms of dollars and cents. He will be alright as well. He and I will both have enough to do what we need to do. We've settled on a physical custody arrangement that enables him weekend and dinner visits. That's fine with me, I want my boys to have their father. When he moves, though, the issue becomes more complex. While he stated yesterday that he intends to stay for at least a year, I doubt that will happen. When he does move across the nation, he wants to come back for one weekend a month to see the boys. I'm fine with this scenario again, but where will he remain that weekend? He doesn't have any family. Will he simply transport the boys to a hotel? Again, I don't believe he gave this any thought. This is a problem we will address if he decides to relocate. Finally, the mediator estimated that everything would take roughly 2 months to finalize. After the session, he and I talked about various facts and figures, and I mentioned the tentative finalization date of our marriage. I told him that 2 months is a reasonable length of time to save money and find an apartment, and he agreed. I also reminded him of his pledge not to visit her again until our divorce was finalized or he found a new place to live. He suddenly became agitated and tried to end the subject by informing me that he knew. I told him I'm glad we're on the same page, but I'm not going anywhere. We both agreed that if you leave while still living here, you will be unable to return. The major question now is, with whom does he break a promise? Stay at home and help me with the kids while you save $500 plus and move out swiftly, or leave to visit her and get you out of the house sooner. I'm fine with either choice. I just want to get on with my life and spend time with my children. Going swimming? I had no notion where I would land when I took this plunge into the Reddit community. I expected to be ankle deep on the banks in an uncomfortable swimsuit if my feet reached shallow ground. But, to my astonishment, this vast ocean of Reddit users has wrapped me in their warm waves, and I am surrounded by a sea of encouragement. I am grateful for this. I'm also moved by the number of people who have offered advice or shared their own experiences as lessons to be learned. I inform anyone who asks for advice that I am not a professional swimmer. I'm just a dog paddling across this sea of pain and confusion. Please don't use me as a symbol of fortitude. Because, in reality, I'm not strong, I am you. I'm the woman who reads because people are suspicious of her husband's late-night phone calls. I am the spouse that has taken on the entire family and is in serious need of assistance. I am the woman who longs for affection from her spouse, who sleeps next to her every night. I am who you are. Trust your instincts if you haven't caught your partner cheating but are suspicious. Cheating is the option of a coward, therefore be braver than them and face the truth. Take a step back, spouse who is the fixer and takes on every situation. When you help, even when you mean well, you are essentially harming yourself. To the spouse who has tried everything to gain physical attention from their partner but has been unsuccessful, their affection is most likely moving elsewhere. These are the lessons I wish I had learned months, if not years ago. Take my advice. Or simply listen to you. There will be no blood in this sea for sharks who call me a terrible mom, a crazy bitch, a fake, or simply believe I'm insane. So you should move on to another thread where the op will chum the water for you. I understand how easy it is to read and judge. I only hope that if something like this ever happens to you, you will be as bold, logical, and composed as you want others to be. If you don't, sharks will circle you as well. So I hope you're as good a swimmer as you say you are. If you're still reading, my survival story continues. Our final mediation documents will be sent this week. We were able to settle everything at our previous meeting on January 12th, and the documents only require our signature. The divorce papers must then be served and filed with the county. Then we'll wait for our court date, which will be held through Zoom. Yes, it was a little anticlimactic, but it served its objective of separating. He has, finally, begun to hunt for an apartment, but nothing has piqued his interest. Perhaps he is being choosy, or perhaps he prefers to live in the basement. In any case, once the divorce papers are signed, he must leave. He started calling her during the day, and I can hear him giggling below. I'm overjoyed that he's pleased. That is not passive-aggressive behavior. I know I'll be happy one day. He just arrived first, which is fine. My life seems to be in limbo right now. I can't move on because I'm stuck in the past. I'm hopeful he'll be able to relocate shortly. I believe he wants to leave on February 1st so he can visit her on Valentine's Day. I hope he meets his deadline, for his sake and mine. I'll provide another update after I receive the mediation documentation and the divorce papers are served. I'm sure it'll elicit a lot of thinking and emotion, so I'm sure it'll be a doozy. I'll keep doggy paddling until then. Souvenirs. If you've been following along, you'll remember that there was a potential he'd depart for Valentine's Day to go see her. He did, however, leave this morning. He said to the kids, "I'm gone," as he walked out the door, leaving me to explain a few hours later that he had to depart to work when they began to ask for him. I've learned not to have expectations. Just because I attempt to be more truthful with the kids doesn't mean he will. I felt quite proud of myself for not even engaging him in the discussion/debate/argument of going. Yes, I expressed my feelings forcefully a week ago when he told me he was leaving, but I haven't talked to him about it since. All I needed was his flight information so I knew when to expect him back. He didn't provide me this information, perhaps he believes I don't deserve it. In any case, he left, and I was okay. While we discussed, and he agreed, several times that he would not visit her again until he got an apartment, he has broken that promise. Shocker. He maintains that he has every legal right to be here and that he may do whatever he wants. He put down a deposit on an apartment a few days ago but claims he has no idea when he will move. What? The bills he pays in the house are less than the child support he will have to pay, so I believe his decision to stay longer is motivated by financial considerations. I've offered him whatever piece of furniture in the house he desires. I even volunteered to pay half the cost of the boys' bunk beds. All I need is for him to depart. I'm not sure why he's dragging his feet. But, I found out from a mutual friend and former co-worker of theirs that she recently had COVID. When I say recently, I mean that her state's Board of Health told her she could stop quarantining 3 days ago. But what about her children who are still at home? Where did they live throughout her quarantine? Are they upbeat? Maybe they're just asymptomatic? Will my STBX bring a COVID keepsake for me and my kids? I'm ecstatic. Insensitivity to COVID. I apologize for the delay in responding to people who have messaged me with concerns and updates. It's been a harrowing 2 weeks. To make up for my absence, I will upload 2 updates tonight. Let me begin from the beginning. My STBX went on vacation on February 12th and did not return until 2:15. My family and I suffered a great loss of one of our most valued members to COVID on his beautiful vacation. I was a shambles. Everyone I care about was crushed. On February 13th, I called my STBX and told him the prognosis was not good. He was in a noisy area with children yelling. He told me he was outdoors with her children. Wow. I can't recall the last time he took our kids outside, but I digress. I shouldn't have expected him to be concerned about my awful news, yet he was. I suppose he still has a decent bone somewhere in him. That worry, however, would not last long. He plans a COVID exam upon his return, as he normally does. He had booked one for 4 days after his return, but he did not go because of the snow in our area. I recognize that the weather cannot be controlled. Then he said he rescheduled for 4 days later and then did not show up. When I questioned him, he replied, "I'm fine." I suspected that because she had gotten a negative COVID test just before his arrival, he felt secure not getting one. He wasn't tested until Monday, March 1st. Almost 2 weeks later. Why? You know my family just lost a loved one to COVID. How could you be so careless and insensitive? The inappropriate inquiry is rhetorical. I obviously already know the answer. The true monster. The day is drawing near. Every day, large boxes containing new furniture to be assembled arrive at the residence. Every evening, the sounds of packing tape being ripped from the spool fill the house. He's leaving. I'm ecstatic. I'm overjoyed that I've finally started conversing with him. Yes, we need to talk about child support and scheduling, but I'm so excited he's leaving that I'm asking about his move. I'm like a kid on Christmas. I asked him if he planned to visit her while we were arranging his move, what he would take from the house and the schedule for visiting the children. No, I wasn't being nosy. We needed to organize an overnight and weekend routine for the kids, and I was trying to be flexible with any trips he had planned. But my curiosity got the best of me, and it was for a good reason, our children. I inquired if she intended to come here to meet the kids. He responded yes and that she was welcome to come. Good for you both, however I'd like to see her before she meets the kids. He remained mute. I could see he was thinking about something or trying to figure out how to get out of this scenario, but he came up empty. He was really curious as to why I needed to meet her. Excuse me, may I return? Do you think I'd allow my kids spend time with someone I didn't know? Why would you assume I wouldn't want to meet her if I'm the mother who interviews babysitters? He claims to be concerned that I will not be civil, but he knows better. I gain nothing by being disrespectful to her. It's just ammunition. I refuse to participate in that game. Plus, why should I? I'm not interested in him. Congratulations on your prize, honey. But he understands that he can't stop me. I have just as much right to meet her as he does to meet someone I'm dating. We cannot conceal secrets from the children. I guess the true worry about us meeting is that she'll realize I'm not the dreadful monster he painted me as. His plots to assassinate my character in order to build himself up or to gain sympathy from her, as well as his relentless gaslighting, will be revealed. She'll see that I'm not longing for him or fighting with him, and that I'm actually a nice guy. Maybe she'll realize he's the actual monster. Similar to father, similar to son. My STBX was very silent. Quieter than normal. Almost moping. I no longer understand his reasons or what he truly cares about, so I left it alone. Isn't it no longer my responsibility to care for and soothe others? He sat alone at the dining room table that evening after the children had gone to bed. He seemed to be waiting for me to address him. No, I did not. That's your problem, not mine. He made the major announcement after he received no attention from me. He claims he told everyone, including his father, about what happened between us. Then, strangely, he began to cry. Tears flowed freely. I mistook these tears for tears of embarrassment and shame. He went on to say that the chat he had with his father was the first time his father had acted like a father to him. While the assertion is alarming, it is also perplexing. I'm guessing his father was behind him? If this were my son, I'd encourage him but also have some hard remarks about how he went about it and how he should probably go about it in the future. However, it appears that he gained unqualified support. So, while I understand, I also don't. Something wasn't right here. My youngest son celebrated his birthday last week. I asked my STBX if he wanted to bring his father around for cake. He texted him multiple times but received no response. He learnt last night through their conversation/confession that his father was in another state for work. Okay, that's understandable. But here's the kicker, he's gone, with a new girl he's dating. Why is this weird, you may wonder? He filed for divorce from his wife of 30 years at the end of January. So I'm wondering if adultery is a learned behavior. My Phil abandoned my STBX when he was 9 years old, which is currently the age of my eldest son. Is there a trend here? Is this all a bizarre coincidence? I couldn't help myself and texted my mother-in-law. She confirmed their divorce. I asked whether there was any adultery, and she said there wasn't to her knowledge. But I'm not so sure. She claimed that my Phil began to distance himself from her. Last fall, he began picking fights for no reason and avoided engaging with her. Then, in January, he stated that he needed a divorce so that he could discover himself. A man in his 60s, on the verge of retirement, needs to rediscover himself? To me, this appears to be a ruse. But now that I've discovered another woman, which my Mill is unaware of, I see that this bloodline of males is extremely selfish and terrible partners. I know everyone will encourage me to inform my Mill about his infidelity, and I intend to do so. I simply need a little more knowledge before I tell her. Spilled tea and moving trucks. It occurred. Finally. He's no longer there. My basement is so quiet and empty that it echoes. A box truck showed up to my house the day he moved, and my children went to the window to observe. I didn't know how to divert their attention while I was working. I was able to entice them away from the window by promising them snacks once they were at the table doing schoolwork. My youngest, on the other hand, would not budge. The truck pulled away after 45 minutes of loading, and my STBX drove away. My youngest walked away from the window, dejected. I quickly approached him and attempted to console him. After a few moments, he inquired, "Is the truck returning?" I was perplexed. I informed him that we were staying and that no one else was leaving. He didn't seem to mind that Daddy was leaving, he simply wanted the vehicle. I'm not sure what to think about this. I scheduled appointments with a child therapist for both of my children. While they appear to be fine right now, I'm not sure what the future holds for their mental health. I'm afraid this will be suppressed, causing problems down the future. His pals have started contacting me. Now that they've figured out what occurred, I'm getting texts and Facebook messages asking how I'm doing. In truth, I know they're just nosy. They may be interested, but all they want is for me to spill the tea. So, I started the kettle. It didn't surprise me that my STBX wasn't totally truthful with them. He made no mention of visiting her during a pandemic. I suppose that would make him appear reckless? Selfish? Idiotic? His friends' wives are stunned. They saw my STBX as a trustworthy buddy, a man who had it all together. Essentially, they believed my STBX would be a positive influence on their husbands. They were sorely mistaken. I have not informed my mother-in-law. This is due to the fact that I lack relevant information. What I did tell her was that she should look into whether he is having an affair. This would help her because her state has adultery laws. They are still legally married and live in the same house, thus the law applies to my knowledge. However, she seemed apprehensive. I believe she is frightened of discovering the truth and having to face him every day. This is something I understand. Nobody's spouse should have to go through that. I know it was painful for me, and I'm sure many of you reading can empathize. I just don't want to be the one to tell her. Perhaps this is because I'm still unhappy that I had to figure it out on my own and that my STBX was too afraid to come honest. Why should a cheating spouse enjoy the excitement of adultery while avoiding the responsibility of confessing?